Hi folks, this training video goes over setting up Conductor High Availability. So if you already have a conductor and start to build things out in your environment, you might be thinking, well, maybe we want a standby conductor in case this one fails, so we can always be up and running. Our current customers, well, you can deploy a conductor either as a hardware conductor, a virtual conductor, or a conductor in the cloud, and so all of those options exist for a standby conductor as well. And we even have the option within the conductor to configure a standby in the cloud if you just enter your cloud credentials. But to get started, just as a reminder, if I go in here and type in Conductor HA in our Airwall help section, there's actually step-by-step instructions on how to set up Conductor High Availability. So we're just going to be going through these steps today and see how it looks and works in a particular example. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the prerequisites in order to set things up. So I've put together a little list of the things that you might need in order to set up Conductor HA. And so if you go into your existing conductor, you'll find the Airwall conductor device ID here. You'll see its local IP address here, and then if that's getting NATed out to a public address, then you'll want that information as well. So we've got device ID, public reachable address. So this is also when the airwalls, if you switch over to the standby conductor, your airwalls need to know how to reach the standby, because if they can't reach their primary, they'll try to reach their standby. So this would be the address that is reachable to those airwalls by all the reachable by those airwalls of that standby conductor. And then we also have just the local IP address information that we need for setting this up. It's important to note that to replicate the database between the primary and the standby, we use TCP 5432. So if you are setting things up, your firewall or your cloud environment needs to make sure that TCP 5432 is open between the two environments. So let's go ahead and get started and set up I've got two different conductors here, and note that the backup can have any database configuration. Really, we're going to end up replacing that with what's in the primary once we begin replicating. But so we go into the settings page and scroll down a little bit. We get to the Airwall Conductor High Availability section. So we'll just click Edit Settings. And so the first thing you're going to do is configure the master. And its local replication address is going to be its address of the local conductor, the one is listening for its database replication. So in my case, it's 192.168.70.202. And then I'm going to put in the peer Airwall conductor configuration. So I'm getting that from over here, my peer that I'm going to replicate to. So I'm just going to grab the peer device ID and copy that, and I'll paste that in. And then the peer replication address has to be the one that's publicly available. So when the primary reaches out to the secondary, which address is reachable, again on TCP 5432. And then for the conductor addresses, these are the two addresses that get sent to all the airwalls so they know who to reach out to. So you're going to have the primary here, which will be, and you can change the order of these so this is my actual primary currently, and this will be my standby public address. So I'll go ahead and click Save on that. And again, I've configured that as the master. Note that you'll lose connectivity momentarily as it resets the services, and then I'll be able to log back in again. Now let's go over to the standby, and we'll do the same thing. We'll go down to Conductor High Availability, Edit Settings. So now I'm going to check standby, and the local replication address for this one is going to be 172.31.57.84. And now the peer device ID, so this will be the master that I just configured. So I'll go ahead and configure his address and the public IP of the master. Oops. Click in here and paste that in. Alright, so that should do it. So we'll go ahead and click Save. And we should get logged out of there as well as it saves that configuration. Just verify that that goes through. And then while we're waiting for that, I'll go ahead and log back in here. And at this point, they should be reaching out to each other to try to establish that peering relationship. So if I scroll down here, you can see Airwall Conductor High Availability, and it's currently already backing up the database. And then once it backs it up the first time, then you'll see this replication status change to streaming. And that tells you everything's working. So that should be it. Pretty straightforward. You just have to kind of make sure you have these kind of 6 pieces of information available, and then configure the master first, and then the standby. So if your master does go down at some point, your standby will take over, or you can also promote the standby to master once it's up and running. Once everything has been backed up and it just starts to stream, the replication status on the primary will show streaming. If we go log into the standby, you'll see that it shows up in the top banner, it's in standby mode. So you're not able to change anything at this point. You're really just in standby mode. The only thing you can do at this point is go down here, and you could delete the HA pairing or promote to master, and then you'd be able to make changes using the standby. So that's how it looks in production. Thanks for listening.